Hey, what's happening, YouTube? It's another beautiful day in Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, I'm in Mesa, Arizona. It is Thursday, July 7th. Sorry, Thursday. Today is a lovely day. Thursday, July 17th, 2025. And yeah, I'm not working tonight, which is this crazy. I want to say I've had 3 nights off, 3 days of not working, but that's inaccurate. I'm actually actively working on the Roadie app right now. I just finished a luggage delivery drop off to a really sweet elderly woman. It's my second one I've done today. Oh, I love this place here with all the crazy metal dinosaur artwork there. Completely unrelated to everything I'm talking about, but just seeing that reminded me of a YouTube channel that I watch. As I've mentioned in many of my videos, I watch a lot of different types of YouTube channels, and video shot right at that location by a channel called Direct D, and he's sort of an auditor who has been largely trying to film and monitor the activities of the Mesa Police Department and catch them in the act of violating people's rights, because yeah, they do that sort of thing a lot here in Mesa. And anyway, just looking at those all the giant rusty metal dinosaurs in the background there as I was crossing Main on Val Vista, and it just reminded me of that video. The metal dinosaurs feature prominently in the background of that video. And on that note, I'll try to link it in the description if you're interested in that sort of thing, or just want to see some completely different context where the metal dinosaurs stay in the background a whole lot longer. Yeah, not using a phone holder. Oh look, Cybertruck. Anyway, yeah, I just finished second drop off, and I think I mentioned before, like, whenever I'm not busy doing anything, or even if I am busy doing something, I'm just constantly trying to learn and find as much public and semi-public electric vehicle charging infrastructure as I can. So I've noticed that there's a lot of the 55 plus mobile home communities, retirement communities that are in this area, particularly along Main and in the corridor between University to the north, Broadway to the south, as you go east of Gilbert, all the way through East Mesa on out into Apache Junction. There's many of those retirement communities. It's something I've never really given much thought to until earlier this year, when I got a route on Jitsu, and I can't remember if it was my first or my second route on Jitsu, that I delivered in a lot of those, and I never really paid them much mind or thought about them much before, and then suddenly I'm navigating them and having the realization that shit, I turned 55 this year, and I'm actually old enough to lease or buy a home in one of those communities, live in one of those communities. Not yet, but very soon. At this point, like that's like 2 weeks away. So I mean, I could conceivably start, the process of trying to purchase a home in one right now, and conceivably by the time I have the sale completed, like I'm old enough and eligible to live there. Which isn't particularly what I was doing just now, but, well, kind of I was. They had a bulletin board of available homes for sale, and I looked at them, and the fact that there was one that was like only $18,000. Now, that doesn't say what the lot rent is. Obviously, there's lot rent, and, if lot rent is as expensive as an apartment, what's the point in spending that much money on a home, Even though I'd own it, would I own it if I don't have the means to move it or anywhere else to move it to? Anyway, so you're kind of looking at, I am honestly kind of looking at that every time I pop in one. Not that I'm actively considering moving into one, or actively considering looking at at moving into a community like that or buying into a community like that. I'm just sort of, for me, life is kind of an adventure. Everywhere I'm going, I'm just trying to educate myself as to what's there, what the options and possibilities are there. And now as I'm nearing the age of 55, and in my daily activities, maybe not every day, but regularly, finding myself in 55 plus communities, I am looking them over for sure, and and then I'm also looking inside them for electric vehicle chargers. That's where most electrical vehicle chargers in this part of town are located. And sometimes when I'm talking about searching for electric vehicle chargers, I use the phrase public and semi-public. And there's a really fine line between that. And it's interesting how different apps define that. By the definitions, I think, set forth on PlugShare, that one would be considered private, if for no other reason than it's in a gated community and it's behind the gate. But it's on the Loop EV network, which is a network, charging network that seems to specialize in putting chargers, public chargers, which is to say chargers that are not owned by a person, but rather owned by a community, owned and operate, or operated by a network and publicly accessible via apps. The Loop network seems to specialize in putting chargers into mobile home communities, particularly retirement communities. So Loop's app lists that as a public charger. It does not list it as private. It lists it as public. PlugShare has it listed as private with a brown pen. And there's no signage saying it's private, but it's just simply behind a gate in a gated community. So that meets the definition of private by the PlugShare. I feel like I've read that somewhere. Anyway, that's kind of how I've been listing them if I add any on PlugShare. And anyway, so I dropped off at actually the next retirement community to the west of the one I just left. And I forget the name of it, but I'm gonna look that up before I finish this video, because I'm almost to another semi-public charger, one that's free, one that I know is free and is on the although I might not be able to use it now that I'm thinking about it. It's on the PlugShare network. If memory serves, this is one that can only be activated via the key fob, and my key fob has been buggy the last few days. But yeah, this one I'm coming up on is free, and it's also located, even though it's in a gated community, it's located outside the gate, so that kind of changes the dynamic as well. Anyway, so I finished up my drop off, which is my second luggage drop off today. I've only done 2 roadie runs today. I slept most of the day. My sleep schedule's so whack right now, but anyway, hang on, I need to keep my eyes open so I don't miss the entrance. It's coming up here on the left. All right, that is an exit for the community I'm going into, and I think I just need to follow this guy. I've used this charger several times. It's not particularly fast. I think it's like 6 kilowatts, but somebody beat me to it. It's it's only 6 kilowatts, but it is free, and there it is. You can see on the top, maybe you can see it. It's got the green plus EV charge point logo going on. There's a Tesla Model S charging there right now. And being that it is a level 2 charger that's kind of on the slow end, it would be pointless for me to sit and wait for this guy to finish. He might be here literally all night. It might be more likely than not the guy with the blue Tesla is a resident here, and he's parked his car, and it's going to be there either until morning or until he gets a little pop-up message from ChargePoint telling him that he needs to move the car. He's going to be assessed penalties for sitting there not charging. Although, this might be one of the few that doesn't do that. For some reason I'm thinking it is. I know I've charged here a few times and it's been completely free. Oh, Mountain Dew Baja Blast. So good. Anyway. So yeah, adventures in EV charging. That's how I pass so much of my time. Being that I don't have much else to do. There's nothing else available on... Oh, there's nothing. There was something like down in like North Chandler, which I'm not driving to from here. And now when I dropped the woman's luggage, there was like right near where I was, there were a couple of there was a CVS run and there was also a Home Depot run, and I bid on those. I didn't get them. Yeah, offer not accepted is a message I get from Roadie a lot, and it's very discouraging. I keep doing it because the fuck else do I have to do with my life right now, right? By the way, the Benz was not picked up today. I'll explain that nonsense a little later. Like, I get that Rob has a lot on his plate, but sometimes I do get frustrated with stuff he doesn't, says is going to get done for me, and it doesn't, and just the level of excuses or reasons, whatever you want to call it, for why it didn't get done. But anyway, yeah, so I bid on a couple of, it's a Roadie app, by the way, right there. I bid on a couple of runs and didn't get them. And as soon as I bid on them, whether I bid on them or not, I asked the woman where I dropped off, and she was in this mobile home community here, which I don't know what it's called. I'm looking at PlugShare, by the way, and I don't see the name. So the layout in the background of PlugShare comes from Google Maps. It's kind of a stripped out version of Google Maps. Brentwood West is the name of the community where I dropped off the luggage, and the woman was an absolute sweetheart. Great short conversation about just how, when there's, because I told her I'm not sure if I'm getting reimbursed for my parking, and that some of the runs that I pick up, the luggage runs that I'm picking up, it says in the description that they'll reimburse the $1.50 parking, and I don't know when they created those descriptions, but the minimum parking charge in short-term parking at Sky Harbor is $6 now. It may have been $1.50 at one point in time, but it ain't now. It's $6 bare minimum for just in, park, run in and out, go. $6. I'm supposed to get reimbursed from that from Roadie. I don't know if I am, and she's like, well, I'd be calling them and talking about that, and I'm like, yeah, like you can't reach a person anymore. It's just all. I've never got anything more than an automated response. Sometimes I get an automated system. I don't even get an automated response. It just, I told her I had one issue I had with the app, and I the automated help system, and for like 2 weeks, I never ever got a response. I said, I just closed that chat bubble today. I kept it open for all this time just to see if I was ever going to get a response. And at this point, I did a screenshot just to show how long that thing stayed open with no response. I've got a documentation of that and closed it. But at any rate, I asked her if there were EV chargers there, and she said no, but that the next community over had one, which was amazing that she would know that. Usually people that don't have EVs are just completely like, it's an EV charger. Or they might literally live right next to one and have no idea that it's there, because it's just something they don't look at. It's off their radar. They put the SEP field around it. It's somebody else's problem. It's amazing how many people just, and as I've said before, I'm reasonably sure I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm definitely on the mental health spectrum, and so I tend to be attentive to a lot of details that neurotypical people just simply ignore because it's not relevant to them. And I get that a lot of people don't do that. Meanwhile, I'm at all times keenly aware of that person using the gate code thing, and that person there who looks like he's going to wait for the guy using the gate to just open the gate for him. And I can't help but notice that when that person unlocked them, that both gates opened at the same time. And I will remember that. My mind is like that. Also kind of noting the shape of the horizon from here and the view of the mountains and the design of the gate and the use of center blocks and steel bars. And like all this, like literally at all times, I'm taking all this in. That's just kind of how my mind works. So, but most people aren't like that. And I understand that. So if an EV charger is not something that's important to you, it's something you're just simply not going to know about, even if it's right there, you know, at the rental office of the apartment complex you live in, or the mobile home park that you pay your lot rent to. But yeah, she seemed very knowledgeable. She's a sweet woman. We had great conversations. I was returning her bag to her, and she said, "Oh, the next community," and she gave the name of it, and I told her, "Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that one. I've actually charged there before." And to be fair, I was wrong. She was talking about this brown pin here, and I've charged before at the green pin there, but I thought she was talking about that one. And maybe she was, but I'm pretty sure she meant this one here is Dorado Canyon 55 plus community. So as you see, there's a brown pin there, and that means it's private. And when I click on it, there you see, and sorry, my video is so blurry. This phone's, I don't know. I just use crap. What can I say? But as you see, it says loop and has the little green infinity symbol there for loop. It's like, okay, loop network, 55 plus community. Of course, it's a loop network. I mean, they're not all loop. I'd prefer it be loop. I'd rather it be loop than blink. I mean, given my preference, I'd really like it to be, can we see it? There it is. I'd really like it to be charge point, but usually I don't get that lucky. Usually it's loop. Anyway, in the description here, it does say residents only, but I've never had an issue on those ones. Even the ones that say residents only, if I can drive through the gate, I've never had I can't say I've never had a problem getting a loop charger to activate. I've actually had many problems getting loop chargers to activate, but not due to me not being a resident, just due to the loop network being not very reliable. But at any rate, like loop charges, I think, at least in most instances that I've used, I think loop charges a startup fee. So it's not like I'm going to plug in and just sit there for like 15, 20 minutes while I go through messages and try to bid on some additional roadie rides and maybe look and see, what the going rate is for homes in that community on a bulletin board, and this stuff's going to take me like 30 minutes. I'm probably not going to plug in there and just charge for 30 minutes. If there's a startup fee, which I think with loop there usually is, is I end up getting half a kilowatt or 1 kilowatt and paying after the startup fee and paying like damn near $1 for it, which is ridiculous. Considering that, this time of day, even if I'm paying full price at most fast chargers, I'm looking like 50 cents a kilowatt. So I would have paid $1 for a slow kilowatt, But at any rate, I looked at the listing here, didn't really pay much attention to the residents only. I figured this time of day I have no problem just going following another car in the gate, which I didn't. But what caught my eye is that there was no picture. I did get a picture, which I'm going to submit as soon as I finish shooting this video. Actually, I could do that now. Show you all how that works. So just click on, as I've said before, this app here, PlugShare, it's user submitted. So add photo source, gallery, and let me turn that away because there are pictures in my gallery y'all don't want to see. Okay, but and things that could get me permanently suspended from YouTube. All these pictures are cool though. So license plate that used to be on my Benz, which I sent to somebody. I asked Andrew if he could maybe be willing to fix my Razor, and he didn't give me a direct answer, and I can get him for not wanting to do it. And it's not broken, it's just got this stupid, that's the charging port, which is, oh shit, that's not what I wanted it to do. Try this again. Yeah, that's a charging port, which is not a standard USB connector, and what's even weirder is that connector looks like it would be for a 110 AC power cord. He did send me a funny emoji in response to that picture. And as an electrical engineer, like, he realizes how fundamentally wrong that connector is for USB. But yeah, I was asking him if he'd be down to try to solder in any kind of standard connector into the damn thing, like, because I can't find the proprietary charging cord. I have 2 of them. I can't find the damn things in my mess of an apartment. But yeah, I was asking, like, USB-C would be great, but even if you put like mini or micro USB, that would be fine. Just something where I can use a normal charging cord for the damn thing, and won't inadvertently plug in a 110 volt AC, because that's what looks like goes in the hole. Like, I don't think I would do that. I'm very keenly aware of how stupid that port is on that razor, which, by the way, is otherwise a great razor. And this screenshot here, that's the one, the automated thing that never responded to me on Roadie. And that's the bag that I last picked up, I think. And that's the sweet woman I was talking to in the retirement community that got her bag. I gotta take a picture. It's interesting that these are being saved on my phone, because I'm taking the pictures within Roadie. I didn't realize they were being saved permanently made my phone. I thought they were just going out on the Roadie app. So great, more shit accumulating in my clouds that I should probably go through and delete. But here's the picture we're looking for. That is the EV charger over at this community. And do I want to add a caption? I kind of do, but I don't think I'm going to. Actually, I really should add a caption. So I'm going to add this later after I'm done shooting this video. And the reason I want to add the caption is if we go back up here, there is where the pin is located. But if I switch the view on this to just satellite, or we can zoom in and look more closely. This is the leasing office, and there's the pool. And the pin puts it directly in front of somebody's trailer. Like, there's the ass end of their trailer, and then they have like a sort of a big shade awning that covers it and gives them sort of a carport and a covered patio and stuff, which is a nice thing to have. But yeah, that shows the EV charger pin. And as you see, there's no parking spot there. But yeah, that's not where it's located. So I ended up parking like here, and there was a Tesla there, so I thought I might be like right by it, but Tesla's just parked. But that's by the leasing agency. And then I walked, leasing building. So I walked there. That's where they had the bulletin board, and I was looking at the prices of the homes for sale. And God, talk about running the gamut. I think the cheapest one was like, but it was built in 1977, so a pretty old, mobile home, but it looked to be in really good shape. And I think that one was only like maybe $18,000. But then there were some that were, damn near, like I feel like $250,000, and I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, God, $250,000 for a trailer home? That's nuts to me. So anyway, I walked through here by the pool, and a couple old people in the pool said hi, and I'm just said hi back, just, I'm a friendly guy, whatever. And I walk around over here, and I find the EV chargers. And interesting, like here you can see the little green dot right there. That's the EV logo. It's like it's just, they're all different, but it's a image of a charger, like a stylized image of a car charger on a green background. Of course, people like to associate electric cars with green. Hey, I am emissions free, so I guess it's green, whatever. Now, the sun is so bright I can't see the screen on my phone while I'm there, so I end up walking into the shady area over here to turn my camera on and take a picture. And I walked about that location. That's about where I stood when I took the picture. Well, by the time I got there, of course, these old people are nosy. I watched a YouTube video, was talking about how one of the reasons that if you're 55 and you're considering moving into one of these complexes, a good reason that you might not want to do that is because your neighbors are older and they're bored and they have no life and they're nosy and they don't know how to mind their own business, so they're going to spend their time minding yours. And these two people in the pool, yeah, that was their behavior pattern. So I took the picture, and I'm walking back to my car, and they're like, hey, you looking for something? I'm like, nope, nope, I already found what I was looking for. And they're like, oh, what? I said, the EV charger is right over there. And they're like, oh, kind of nodded. I said, and I said, and this is another one that's like, just like neurotypical behavior. The way you'll tell them specifically what you're doing, and it's like they weren't even listening, and then immediately assume I'm doing something else and say something that's just not cohesive with what I just said. Like, instead of spending so much time like minding my business, trying to figure out what I'm doing and jumping to conclusions, how about you just simply listen to the words I'm saying, which were very straightforward, and said exactly what I was doing. Because I just told them that I was looking for, and I wish I would have shot video of this interaction, but of course the dynamic of the interaction would have been completely different had I been shooting video. And they seemed bothered enough that I took a picture of the charger. But as you saw, the listing doesn't have the picture. So it's always helpful. And I do want to add to that listing that you explain that, that pin is incorrect, and explain in the text under it, which you saw I could type that. I want to definitely put a little explanation in there of where the charger actually is, because that would be helpful for somebody who's looking for it. Anyway, But yeah, I just told them that I said it was a little tricky to find, that the pin, it's on the Loop network, and the pin in the Loop app. And I mean, I showed you all where the pin is on PlugShare, but let me open up Loop for you all here. So this is, these are all the different EV apps that I use. Actually, I don't use all these. Probably about a good half of those I could probably delete, or at least put in a little, like a subfolder, so they're not taking up so much space. But at this point, I still have 2 empty spaces, so what the hell not. Loop is definitely one I'll keep out, though. I don't use Loop a lot, but I use it enough. Anyway, here's the Loop app. You see it's still open in that area, and I would imagine like that's, I don't know now if Loop is now communicating with PlugShare. It didn't used to. It used to be that you couldn't get any information about Loop chargers on PlugShare other than what users submitted of like, hey, there's a Loop charger here. But now it looks like they've connected up the networks, and I know they have the back end, or I think they call it an API, where networks can tie in. ChargePoint uses it extensively. By the way, I had an interesting thing with ChargePoint charger a couple nights ago. I haven't talked about that yet, but anyway, I'm thinking maybe that's what's going on, because as you can see, the pin is in exactly the same wrong location here, which is, it just seems more than coincidental that that's where the wrong location would be within PlugShare. Because usually, like, if it's wrong on a network app like this, it'll be correct. It'll often be correct on a disconnected network on PlugShare, because it's a person like me that would have submitted it, just a PlugShare user, and they would have done the correct location. But if you look here, here's the listing for it, and it does pretty much very clearly say public station. It doesn't say private. It doesn't say residents only. It says public station. Dorado Canyon. Open 24/7. Available 2 of 2 chargers. Level 2. Can I swipe? Do I swipe that? Some of them you swipe up, some of them you tap. More information here. Open 24/7. Level 2. 2 of 2 available. Station's billing details. Sorry, I can't. I'm not even sure if it's blurry because iPhone camera, or blurry because my shitty vision, but I can't quite read it. 3300 East Broadway Road, Mesa, blah, blah, blah. 45 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, that's on the high. Even if there was an activation fee, I'm not paying 45 cents for level 2 charging. That's ridiculous. With $2 activation fee. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's if I would have been there, if I would have connected and just done like stayed there long enough to just get, and I'm not seeing anywhere in the charger description as to what the power rating is, but I would expect it's probably 6-7 kilowatts. That's pretty normal for level 2s in locations like that. Although I've encountered some that are as slow as like 1.5 kilowatts and 3 kilowatts. So, you never really know. But I've hit them as fast as 11.5. But that's been Tesla destination chargers, not loop. I don't think I've ever encountered anything faster than like 7 kilowatts on a loop charger. Anyway, yeah, that's an outrageous charge. I mean, I would have spent like $2, and even if I only got 1 kilowatt, it would have spent $2.45 on 1 kilowatt of electricity. That's ridiculous. So obviously I'm not charging there. I'm just wanting to, and if that information has not been put in PlugShare, I'm going to put the pricing information in PlugShare, which I'm not going to do now on video. I've already wasted 30 minutes of your time. But anyway, I want to add the picture and a little information about how the pin is wrong and what the charging rate. So yeah, obviously I'm not going to charge there. I'm literally in there just to take a picture and just get the picture, make a note of where it actually is, and move on to the next one, which is here, which unfortunately is busy with a Model S. But that's the plan. But no, I encountered with nosy old people in the pool, and so anyway, I'm telling them that yeah, it's a Loop network charger, but Loop has the pin in the wrong location, as does PlugShare, which is an app for just generally locating chargers. Said they show it in like one of the trailers on the other side of a leasing office, and they're like, oh, okay. And then the woman says, it's a guy and a woman, I'm assuming married couple, but I don't know. But anyway, she says something. She goes, oh, well, where are you from? Or yeah, I think she asked where I was from, and I said, oh, I'm from Arcadia. And she's like, who? I said, no, I live in Lower Arcadia. I've been there for a while. And she goes, no, I mean, what company are you with? I said, oh, I'm not with any company. I'm not with any company. Like, why would she assume I'm with a company? Bizarre. And then the guy goes, well, you can't charge there. You can't charge there. I never said I was going to. And like, why would you assume that? And although really, what, are you going to stop me? I could charge there. I'm not going to, because it's massively overpriced and I've got better things to do with my life. Even if that better thing to do is sit in the parking lot of a rental community and talk to myself while recording it on an iPhone. Yeah, I on that note, I should probably get back on my roadie screen. Although after 6 p.m. it's pretty slim pickings usually on roadie. Yeah, there's not really anything on roadie at night. It's a daytime thing, which for a day sleeper makes it not a very useful app for me. I mean, I can't complain. I feel like I've made over $100 off of it so far. It says my balance 0, processing 26.25. So I mean, $26 today. That's something. Gig history. Love how often the screen just goes blank. Not helpful. Of course, that isn't really their fault. I'm getting very bad reception here. I don't know. Anyway, I guess my last direct deposit from Roadie, I feel it was just shy of $100. So, an extra $100 is an extra $100. I'll take it. Mostly, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy, I pass the time. It gets me out to different areas where I can kind of explore and learn places and meet people and occasionally find some different EV chargers, as I did today, or get myself to ones that I'm familiar with, such as the one here. This is the first time I've ever pulled up here and found it busy. I don't know, maybe I once other time did, but usually this one's available. But nice to see people using them other than me, because sometimes people are like, well, it's just a waste they put it in. Nobody uses it. So I use it. Whoever has that Tesla's using it. Which, see, I'm not the only one using it. That's something actually you can see on the ChargePoint app. It'll say when it's at last used on a lot of the chargers. And sometimes the last use date is like, ooh, that thing's been sitting in there used for a long time. Ouch. That's not a good statistic. But, you never know how much it's going to use until you build it. They say you build it, that will come. Anyway, so yeah, they're like, oh, well, you can't charge there. And at this point, I've realized that they're not listening to me, or maybe they're just stupid, But either way, I'm done with these old people that are failing to mind their own business, And I'm just like, I said, okay. I think that's all I said. I said, okay, and I just waved and walked off. Because at that point, I'm done. I'm not sure if they were still saying things after me as I was trying to walk away or not. But anyway, I just walked away, got in my car, and left. But yeah, weird interaction, and neurotypicals never fail to amaze me in the way that they will draw conclusions on other people's behavior and fail to mind their own business. Amig Acid Press, such a great YouTube channel for seeing the way people will react to stuff that's just literally none of their business. Like, yeah, it's two guys, they're shooting this video. Was it any business to yours? But yeah, a lot of people will say, especially old people, will say the same kind of thing. Well, who are you with? Well, who are you with? Where are you from? How's that any of your business? I should have asked them who they were with. And then it occurred to me as I was walking away, another thing I could have said is, well, you can't charge here. I said, well, who told you? I was thinking, it's like, I could have said, who told you I was charging here? Or even cut right past that and said, well, I could buy a home here, could I not? And see how they respond to that. I could be your next neighbor. Maybe you should not be such an asshole. Anyway, appreciate you watching. I know, long ass boring video. Do I ever get to the point? No, not really, but that's what happened today. Cliff invited me to his place. I'm now so far away from it and so far away from everything else. I did check to see if there's karaoke tonight at brain fart, karaoke at, I'm forgetting the name of it, Roosters, where my friend Trey hosts, and there's not. This is open mic night tonight. You should come out to the open night. Not really my scene. I like to sing, and generally speaking, at an open mic night, the only way you're singing is if you're also playing a guitar, and I don't play guitar, so kind of takes the fun out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching other people perform at open mic nights, but in a bar that's going to just simply be full of strangers, yeah, no, there's other stuff I'd rather do. What I'd rather be doing is charging at this charger, but obviously that's not happening. I'm pretty familiar with the stuff around here, and as memory serves, there's really nothing around here but this one. But let me check plug share real quick. Get it back onto normal map view. Zoom into where I'm at. Yeah, as you see, this one's just kind of off by itself. This one I like. That one's on the reservation, but that one I think shuts down at 4 p.m. So it's after 4. I'm trying to remember what this one is. Oh, level 5. I always do that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's that? Level 550 apartment complex. Wall. Yeah. It's just a note that there's... Is anybody even taking a picture of it? Yeah, somebody did take a picture of it. They're just noting that there's power outlets that you could conceivably charge on in the shaded parking structure on the reserved spots. I guess that's, if I live there, I might actually use those outlets, but yeah, I'm not going to go. And I do have my portable charger in the back of the car right now. I normally don't. I haven't been keeping it with me lately, but I do have it with me now. Mostly because I was thinking about maybe plugging it over at Cliff's place. But yeah, it's not there. Oh God, that reminds me, there is a charger I wanted to go to. It's out of the way. It's clear over here. I think it's this one. That I went and I charged that, and there was a Tesla destination charger. Yeah, the Baseline Center. This is it here. And it says restricted because there's a sign there that says it's restricted, but I think I took that picture. But yeah, there's a Tesla destination charger, but of more interest to me right at the moment is, I don't know what that standard is called. Oh, here it is there. It's an NEMA 1450 outlet there. And I have yet to try my NEMA 1450 adapter, but I bought one in hopes that I bought it in hopes that I could use it to charge at campsites, like maybe go to a campground and spend the night or spend the day or whatever out in the mountains, and hopefully charge the car, and if I get hot, sit in the car and listen to the music and run the air conditioning, because the air conditioning feels so good in here right now. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But let me show you all the adapter. I don't know if I've shown that on video yet. I love that for this charger, the Tesla port is on the wrong side. There's just this raging debate as to, you know, where a charging port should be on an EV, and Tesla being the most dominant brand, all their superchargers are set up for the port being on the driver's side, and Tesla owners are like, well, that's the correct side, everything else is wrong. I insist that Kia has it right, which, by the way, Kia changed it in the 25 model and moved it over to here to match Tesla and switched to a Tesla plug. But I insist it should be on the right, which of course is the perfect location. I mean, this is long cords. Charge point cords are long, which is a good thing. But yeah, it's right here. But to me, the reason I say it's the right side, beyond it's the right side, but that's the correct side, because if you're on street parallel parking and there's a street side charger, let's say part of or adjacent to a streetlight pole or a parking meter, curbside charger, that's your curbside when you're parking. There are 3 chargers like that in downtown Phoenix. They're Blink, which is why I never use them. Although I do have a Blink card now. But yeah, Blink tends to be overpriced. But anyway, just thought of that, seeing the cord stretched, because I don't have to stretch the cord like that when I charge her. So that's my portable charger. Right now I got my 110 volt adapter plugged into it, because I'm usually just level 1 charging on a regular power outlet. But this is the plug that's on it. And I don't know what that standard is called, but as you see, there's like 1 pin sideways, 1 pin horizontal, 1 vertical, and that's a 220 volt outlet. Somebody told me what those are for, that those are dryer outlets. So I don't know. I say that I've never had an electric dryer. I've had electric dryers before, but I've never plugged them in. They've already been plugged in, and I've just never messed with them. But this is my new adapter here, and yeah, that plug plugs in there for 220 volt, and I get a cover on it to try to protect the pins. I don't know if that's really necessary, but I've been putting it back on. But that is for the kind of plug that's at that office park, and it's after close right now, so there shouldn't be anybody there to tell me, hey, it's a private charger, you need to leave here. I'm not looking at sitting there and sucking all the power anyway. I just want to try it out and see if it works. So I think I'm gonna head there. That seems like something fun to do. Anyway, thanks for listening to my boring dribble, and yeah, just I don't know, always find some interactions with people just to be really weird, and that was certainly a weird one for me. And always fun in exploring public charging infrastructure. I do think at some point I do want to go out to Cliff's place, and probably should go home and do a little bit of cleaning while I'm kind of awake and I'm not working tonight. But I really would like to get one more run off roadie, but it's almost 7 o'clock. I feel like that's probably a non-issue, and I should eat as well. 6:50, too late to get my happy hour drink at Taco Bell. I actually tried to apply for a InstaWork gig today at DashMart of all places, but it wasn't the DashMart in Phoenix. It was the one, or in Tempe, the one that I had such an issue with. It was DashMart in Tucson. They paid really good, like $21.50 an hour. It's like, I'll drive to Tucson for $21.50 an hour. It wasn't even that many hours, but it just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm kind of jonesing to drive to Tucson, what the hell. But then as I was going through the steps to get it on, and mind you, I've yet to ever get a gig on InstaWork. As I was going through the steps to get it, at one point it said that it was all booked, and like I got a push through notification for the gig. Otherwise, I wouldn't even open InstaWork. But yeah, it told me that it was already taken, and put myself on the wait list. Yeah, like I was far enough away from it that, like, had I accepted it, I would have had to quickly get dressed into the appropriate clothes for the gig, and then drive out there then. So yeah, there's no point in me getting on a wait list by the time when and if I do get a response on the wait list, I'm going to be too far away to even go. So, and I'm not driving to Tucson on the hopes that I get through the wait list. Much rather hang out with Cliff tonight. I feel like I should have hung out with him last night. I feel like I kind of flaked out on him last night, but the situation with him the night before, as I mentioned in my last video, was horribly, horribly depressing. And I don't put the blame on that on Cliff in the slightest. Like, I think Cliff handled it probably the same as how I would have handled that if I was in his shoes. It was just an awkward situation created by an awkward bitch that I should have just been ignoring from the get-go, because in the grand scheme of things, I'm out of her league. She's not out of mine.